Welcome to Recalculating Small Business. Like its award-winning book, Recalculating is dedicated to small business in America. Your hosts are Don Mazzella and Dan Perkins. Don Mazzella is the editor-in-chief of the Small Business Digest. Dan Perkins is a registered investment advisor with 43 years' experience in managing money.
Dan Perkins here, your co-host, along with Don Mazzella of Recalculating for Small Business. Our radio program is dedicated to you, helping the small business owners increase their profits. We draw our name from Recalculating, voted the best small business book of 2017 by the Independent Press. In this book, it features ways to grow your small business. Now, here's Don Mazzella.
For 1 in 5 working adults, caring for an aging or sick loved one is an everyday occurrence. Lindsay Jurist-Rosner, CEO and co-founder of, and I love this company, Wellthy, spelled Wellthy, joins us now to talk about this often unnoticed workaday situation. Lindsay, welcome to the program.
Oh, thank you, Don. Good to be here.
Okay. Our co-host, Dan Perkins, is not with us today. He's on assignment. So first, Lindsay, before we do anything else, tell us a little bit of your background.
Oh, sure. So my background, my professional background is actually entirely outside of healthcare. I've spent my career in marketing and technology and media. But the background as it pertains to the business is that I have spent 28 years as my mom's caregiver. So my mom got diagnosed with primary progressive multiple sclerosis when I was 9. And so over the course of nearly 3 decades, I was intimately involved in her care, always from this family caregiver perspective. And it was really through that experience with my mom that I, first of all, started to meet more people going through the same stress and struggles and frustrations that our family was. And I just became personally compelled to create a better experience, which is what led me to found and build Wellthy.
Well, having said that, tell us what Wellthy is all about, and spell it out with the website for our audience again.
Oh, sure. Yeah, so the website is wellthy.com, so that's wellthy.com. And the idea is that we are really sort of a care concierge for families with complex, chronic, or ongoing care needs. So think of us, it's almost the same way that you would work with a financial planner, say, or a similar professional. We become your family's partner or your personal healthcare assistant or personal healthcare project manager. So we're handling everything from finding the right in-home aid, handling a move into a facility and all of the logistics around that, finding providers, scheduling appointments, arranging transportation, refilling prescriptions, contesting and negotiating insurance bills, navigating to the right insurance option or financial aid programs, and the list goes on.
Well, that's a good start. How did you start this company? And you said why, but how does it work? I've went through the process with both my parents, and unfortunately they're gone now. But I discovered that my father is starting to become the onset of Alzheimer's. I come to you, and what do you do for me as a caregiver?
Yeah, so the first step is that we get to know exactly what your situation is, what your needs are. We use the information you share with us to match you up with the right fit care coordinator. The care coordinator is the person who really becomes you and your family's partner. And so the care coordinator will get to know your goals, your situation, your immediate needs. We'll set up a plan, and we'll start getting things done. So if you come to our care coordinator and you say, Dad's getting older and dealing with Alzheimer's, and we're not sure if he can live independently for much longer, we will get to know sort of what the next steps are. So are you looking for an official Alzheimer's diagnosis, or has that already been received? Are you needing to get your dad some more support in the home, or thinking of providing him with some additional support in a memory care facility? And we'll work with you on what the next steps are, and then going about and getting things done for you.
Well, this is a program for small business, and one of the things I noticed that small businesses tend to be greatly more affected by someone who has a caregiver problem, but also more forgiving of that than a big corporation. So what do you do for a small business that says, look, we have an employee that we think is entering that situation or has a situation? Do you work directly with the employer, or do you also contract with employers?
Yeah, it's a great point, and I think your observation is spot on, with smaller companies feeling that caregiver burden almost more kind of severely than larger companies. So yeah, we will, actually our largest, the majority of our clients, of our families that we work with, come through our employer partnerships. So we contract with employers, and basically companies cover the cost of our service as an employee benefit. And the reason is, to your earlier point of how you started off the broadcast, 1 in 5 adult workers are taking care of aging, chronically ill or disabled loved ones, and those folks will miss work, be distracted at work. There could be retention issues, and increasingly family leave-related issues. And so what we can do for that employer is provide the support that the employee needs to keep them engaged and productive in the workforce, but also to provide them with the support that they so desperately need. And that helps to reduce stress and provide relief. And so employers will cover the cost of our service for these employees, and then employees just get to gain access to our care coordinators and get their help. We also have some smaller companies that contract with us, and the smaller companies might only have 1 or 2 employees in any given month who are working with our care coordinators, but the impact that we can have on those 1 or 2 employees is so huge and so valuable to even those small companies.
Well, let's back up. Well, what is the cost of your service, and how do you charge?
Yeah, so we have a direct-to-consumer business. So you can today go to Wellthy.com and sign up and create a care project for your own family. We charge $300 per month, or $200 if you commit to 6 months in advance. So that's $1,200 up front. And we'll coach you through which payment plan makes the most sense. If we're helping with anything that takes a little while longer, whether it's insurance related or handling a move into a facility, we will coach someone to go with the 6-month plan just because it might take us that long. We do claim that we can make that money back for you. We help families spend less money, reduce claims, insurance claims, and just generally sort of be more cost conscious when it comes to making these very important care decisions. And then for employers, what we're offering to employers is 2 different options. Employers can either structure a payment plan with us where they're turning us on and covering access for their employees. And so what we'll do is estimate utilization within that employee population and then charge a low fee. So it could be somewhere around $2 or $3 per person per month, so per employee per month. So if you have 100 employees, we charge you $300 per month, and we expect 1 or 2 people to work with us in any given month. The other option is a per utilization plan, where we allow employers to cover the cost for the employee, and we're just invoicing that employee at the end of the month based on invoicing that employer based on employees who are working with us.
Well, let's talk a little bit about that, because that's a benefit that I think every business should consider. Having gone through both of my parents and before that my grandparents, I understand the problems and the cost, the human cost. Forget the financial cost of doing it. But do you view this eventually? You think it will be a benefit like health care to people as this nation gets older?
I really do think so. I mean, it's one of those benefits that changes the lives of the individuals who are getting this support. And you're right. I mean, the demographic trends in our country today, right now we have a large number of employees who are dealing with caregiving situations, and that number is only going to grow. What's interesting for us to see, too, is that we're seeing families getting squeezed. So not only do they have children in the house or even, children with special needs, they also have aging parents and aging in-laws. And so we're seeing families getting just squeezed from all sides. And it really does impact their day-to-day well-being, their ability to focus and get their job done. And so we are seeing the progressive employers start to really pay attention to this issue. I'll share with you another option.
We also have seen that, but let me stop a minute. You also cover
Sure.
if someone has a child with cancer or some other problem as well. Am I right on that?
Yes, that's right. We help families regardless of, so not just on elderly care or aging-related care, but families who have children with special needs, autism, autoimmune conditions, cancer, behavioral issues, or a family where there's a spouse with a cancer or Parkinson's diagnosis, or a sibling with a mental health situation. And then I will say the bulk of our business is supporting families who have older parents, so parents who are aging and dealing with multiple chronic conditions.
Well, I'm going to throw, I happen to at one point have been editor of Exceptional Parent magazine. So I also know that we also have another problem where children with special needs have now reached adulthood, and they're living longer, and families have those type of issues to deal with. You don't deal with that type of issue at the moment, do you?
Oh, certainly. Yeah, so we're helping families. We see this a lot, actually, families who, helping families to make, if a child with special needs turns 18 and the family's now determining sort of next steps for the child moving into a group home or another similar facility and making sure they're set up. So, the state-based resources change, for a child than for somebody who's over the age of 18. So making sure that families are setting up their child with the right resources and programs and the right living environment. We get involved there all the time.
We are talking with Lindsay Jurist-Rosner. She's CEO and co-founder of Wellthy. I'll spell it Wellthy. Talking about the 1 in 5 working adults caring for an aging or sick loved one. It's a fascinating subject. Are you nationwide?
Yes,
is your service nationwide?
Yes, we're nationwide. We are not outside of the U.S., though.
Oh, well, there's enough work to be done right here in the U.S.
Oh, plenty. I know it.
Well, your co-founder, who did you found the company with?
So my co-founder is this incredible human. Kevin Roach is his name, and he is a brilliant technical mind. So he's a software engineer, math major by background. He spent nearly 10 years working at Goldman Sachs as an engineer and developer and manager there. And I think increasingly when he was at Goldman Sachs, he wanted to get involved with projects where he felt like he was really helping people. And so he and I got introduced in the fall of 2014, and we started working together on Wellthy at night and during the weekends. And our skills really complement each other quite nicely. He's built our entire platform, and he has architected our technology, which is a really critical part of what we do. We are able to deliver our service at scale nationwide, and we do that in an incredibly high-quality way, and we have to do that consistently. And so to do that is actually very difficult, and the way that we do that is through technology. We power our service with technology, and so it's the sort of behind-the-scenes work that allows us to deliver the great experience that we do. And so he has a team, and they build product and really help to enable this great service experience. We worked together for nights and weekends for about 6 months, and then we decided we were ready to get involved full time, and he quit Goldman Sachs and joined me, and we were off to the races. And he's one of the few, I think to be a great technology leader, you have to have just a ton of empathy, and for our business, empathy is so critical, and so he just exudes that and has that in spades.
Well, how do you find your advocates that work for you? What do you look for in terms of their attributes?
Yeah, it's a great question. We definitely have learned a lot with what we're looking for in our care coordinators. We do mostly find that our care coordinators are social workers by background. Many of them have master's level degrees in social work. And so that means that they're somewhat skilled and capable in helping families navigate the system. The critical piece for our business is customer service. So we look for care coordinators who have the skills and the background and the passion and the interest, but also who have the empathy and the customer service ability and the ability to connect. A lot of our care coordinators have been caregivers themselves. Some are taking care of sick children currently, and so they're really able to connect and empathize and partner with the family in a way that I think we don't often see within the healthcare system. Our business is very personal. Our care coordinators will share their stories and learn about families' stories and really get to know families and really, be alongside the family through what can be a very trying and emotional period. And so we're very picky about the folks that we invite to be part of our care coordinator community, and we choose people who we think are kind of unicorns, really do have the skills, but also that warmth and that relatability. I'll share with you that almost all of our care coordinators, actually all of our active care coordinators right now are women, and that's certainly not by design. It's really just the candidates we're getting.
Well, no, I can understand that. Knowing what I went through with my mother and then with my father, you need compassion and understanding on the other side in order to navigate this complex world. Where did you get your financing, and how did you finance your growth?
Yeah, so our initial financing has come through venture investors. We have some really incredible investors involved in the business who are supportive and helpful. Our investors include Hearst is a large investor of ours, as well as Polaris Partners, Dean Capital. We have a bunch of angel investors through HBS, the HBS Angel Network. We have a couple of individual investors who are really seen as experts in their space. So one of them is Jeff Weiner, who's the current CEO of LinkedIn, and Jonathan Bush, who's the founder and until recently the CEO of Athena Health. Both of them are investors of ours. And so what we've done is try to surround ourselves with smart money as we think about it. Capital from people and organizations where we can get their help and their wisdom and their guidance in addition to helping to fund the business. So that's been the initial capital. And then right now, the bulk of our revenue comes from our employer clients. So we sell into companies as an employee benefit, and that's where we make our money to fund our growth.
And I guess my other question: are you an HBS grad?
I am. Yep.
Well, what year?
I'm HBS 2009.
Okay, all right. No, my wife is HBS. That's why I asked the question.
Oh, cool. Oh, great.
Well, when you said that, now having said that, where are you located?
Well, we're headquartered here in New York, and we're right in Columbus Circle, and then we have customers and families and coordinators in almost all 50 states. So we're really nationwide with our coverage.
But how do people find out about you?
Well, the bulk of families are finding out about us through their employer. Their employer offers Wellthy as an employee benefit, and the family will learn about us through open enrollment and through events and lunch and learns that we'll do with that company. We don't do a lot of marketing outside of, going through these employers. So we have a small private pay business. It's mostly families who hear about us through word of mouth or through shows and programs like this.
No, again, I forget how I found you, but I was very interested in it. Now, having said that, do you intend to, you're nationwide, but do you intend to put satellite operations across the country or work out of New York?
Yeah, we have actually a couple of, we have team members who are based, we do have some team members who are based outside of New York. I think it's a good question. I think we'll build office locations sort of depending on the concentration of where our team members and our customers are. So TBD on that, but I think you might see us over the next couple of years opening up some additional office locations.
Where do you see your exit strategy?
Well, I think we've been pretty heads down focused on delivering our service and building our business and growing the business. I think there are a couple of potential exit opportunities for us. We're sort of the type of business that an insurance company might buy, or one of the large retail pharmacy companies, or potentially if there were to be a company to do a roll-up of elder care companies, almost similar to what you're seeing with the healthcare roll-up right now, that's being led by some of the great, by Jeff Bezos and Jamie Dimon and some of the others. So I think there are a couple of different paths for us, but we are admittedly just solely focused on growth and service, and haven't really spent too much time thinking about exiting.
No, it's just very, very interesting. You're in a very interesting space, but
yeah.
Do you find it difficult to find qualified coordinators?
I think the answer is no. We have more interest from potential coordinators than we can currently fulfill. So we have a couple of thousand care coordinators in our application process right now. We've shut down accepting new applicants for the time being. The challenge more so for us is really honing what it is that makes a great Wellthy care coordinator and being able to identify that immediately. And so, we're getting better and better at that as we go. We are very opinionated with how we want to deliver our service, and so we want care coordinators who really represent us, really well. And so we're just really picky about who those folks are and how we want them to deliver the service experience. So that's the biggest tricky piece for us, is really making sure we're finding the right fit. And it's not the right fit for everyone. I mean, we've heard from some folks that we're really bringing social work into the modern era. We're really not thinking about, it's in some ways this is the work that traditional state-based departments of aging would do. They would have a team of social workers, and families would call up, and social workers would provide guidance and resources and references over the phone. And what's interesting to us is, it just wasn't enough for families. And so in some ways we're kind of reinventing that model. And in doing so, we're really providing a different type of experience for families, and therefore a really different type of work experience for our care coordinators. And so there are some care coordinators for whom it's not really the right fit, and vice versa for us.
Well, let me go in a different direction and ask you this:
Sure.
When you're interacting with these various agencies, it's been my experience that it varies by the individual. I don't care what the agency is or anything. Some individuals are there to help, and others are there to pass the time. How do you deal? And do they resent the fact that you're coming in there and with more knowledge than the average person, and demanding of them the services that they sometimes just reluctant to give?
Yeah, it's a great point. I mean, we have a polite persistence. We encourage our care coordinators to not accept no. And so, yeah, we can be that squeaky wheel. But we try to take the burden off of the people we're working with on the other side. So I'll give you an example. We recently were helping a family file a Medicare appeal letter. I don't remember. I don't actually know all of the specifics. But I know what our team did was they went to the doctor and said, we need your help in filing this appeal. And the doctor said, listen, I'm really busy and they don't have time. And so our team went away and said, okay, how do we make this really easy for the doctor, and how do we get this done for the family? It's an urgent situation. So we went back to the doctor with a templated email or templated letter and said, can you let us know if you think this letter is accurate, if you would add anything, or if not, will you just sign the letter? We did the heavy lifting of writing the letter. We just need you to sign it. And he said, I've never had, in all my decades of practice, I've never had someone go ahead and draft a letter for me so that I just have to sign it. He was like, that was enormously helpful. Thank you. And so to the best of our ability, we're trying to, be empathetic on all sides, understand the stress that others are under, and see what we can do to try to help alleviate wherever possible. But, yeah, I mean, we will push hard, and we won't take no for an answer, and we'll contest and negotiate bills with insurance companies. And so, yeah, there are probably some folks out there that don't necessarily love dealing with us or getting our calls.
Yeah. Yes, I found that, again, you're talking to somebody who's been a veteran of it, and I just found it was just amazing the differences in people sometimes side by side in the desks.
Oh, yeah. And it depends on the day, and depends on their mood, and depends on how much work it is. Yeah, I mean, it's so fascinating how much variability there is.
Yes, it's fascinating. Again, Lindsay, your website and how people can reach you?
Sure. So we're wellthy.com, which is WELLTHY.com. That's WELLTHY.com. And people should feel free to reach out to me directly. So I'm just Lindsay at Wellthy.com, and I look forward to hearing from your listeners.
Oh, it's Lindsay with an A. Spell it out. This is Radio Lindsay.
You're right. LINDSAY. So that's LINDSAY. Lindsay at Wellthy.com.
Well, it's been a fascinating time with you, Lindsay, and thank you so much for taking the time to talk with us. We've been talking with Lindsay Jurist-Rosner, CEO and co-founder of Wellthy. A link to her website will be on recalculating.biz tonight, where you can hear this and every other past and future program. Lindsay, thank you so much for being with us.
Oh, thank you, Don, for having me. Such a pleasure.
Hello, I'm Dan Perkins, the co-host of Recalculating, and I just found out that I'm a type 2 diabetic. I don't know about you, but I was scared. I went to the diabetes classes at the hospitals and was overwhelmed with all of the information. I'm not a doctor. I'm a diabetic looking for a better way to treat my diabetes. It's important to me to try and treat my diabetes with a minimal amount of drugs. I found the Diabetic Solution Kit. It's a proven system used by over 300,000 people that help them balance their blood sugar, lower their A1C, and treat diabetes at the root cause. When you follow the simple instructions, the Solution Kit could help you get off of drugs, and it may even alleviate your need for daily insulin shots with your doctor's approval. If you're looking for an alternative in treating your diabetes, then you need to consider the Diabetic Solution Kit. I know it helped me, and maybe it can help you. Go to recalculating.biz and look for the Solution Kit link. Click on it and learn more.
Marcus Lemonis, J.D. Powers, and John Scully, and 100 other presidents and experts contributed to Recalculating the book. Why did all these people agree to contribute to the book? I'm Don Mazzella, and I'm the editorial director of Small Business Digest. And for 20 years, we have been offering small business leaders information and data to increase profits. Recalculating the book was named the best small business book by the Independent Press Association. Whether you need help with marketing, staffing, finance, operations, technology, or many other subjects, they're all here in Recalculating the book. They're now available at Amazon at a reduced cost. We've also created the radio program Recalculating on recalculating.biz.
Dan's tip of the day should resonate with every small business. Having a bright, clear physical plan always adds profits. One recent survey revealed 71% of walkers responded that they would enter a newly refurbished establishment even if they didn't have anything to buy or were in the market for buy. So how important is it with small business for physical establishments where customers come in to buy? It's very important. Sprucing up a small business makes sense. Saving cents may cost a small business dollars if the right quality paint is not used. According to Hotel Association figures, the average time between major spruce-ups for member hotels, dropped from 8 to 7 years in the past 12 months. Why? Because new establishments are very important. But don't think these statistics apply only to brick-and-mortar stores. The entry page for any business is that company's storefront. For those online leaders who think they are immune to the need for change to their storefronts, think again. While changing index pages initially loses visitors, new visitors are usually generated within 3 months. So today's message, in a physical plant or online, stay new, it will help profits.
Dan Perkins is on assignment today, so I'm Don Mazzella. And our next guest is Tony Fenton. He's Vice President of Commercial Lines, Product, and Underwriting for Commercial Auto, Casualty, and New Products at Nationwide. Tony, welcome to the program.
Don, thanks for having me. I'm really excited to have this chat.
All right. You first tell us a little bit about yourself before we go into anything else.
Yeah, I've been in the industry 20 years, all commercial lines insurance, about half of that running and managing field organizations, and then the other half in the staff product office, all with Nationwide. So 20 years of experience in commercial lines and insurance, and these last 12 months for me have been very exciting given the new product development with all the technology and all the different ideas and mechanisms that business owners are utilizing to make their operations safer and more efficient.
Well, in that vein, you have a new survey that I'd like you to tell us a little bit about.
Yeah, Nationwide, each and every year for the last 4 years, completes an annual business owner survey, and we go through and we ask business owners about certain topics. And this last survey, we really focused our efforts on safety and connected technology. And what we found is business owners are increasingly leveraging connected technologies to create a safer work environment and really drive a more productive operation. And that's something that we maybe concluded, but the survey proved that in spades for us.
Okay, can you give us some more data on that? Because our audience, as you know, is 59% of whom are presidents and or owners, and they're always interested in something like that.
Yeah, what we found, Don, was that roughly a third of all business owners are leveraging connected technologies, and of those that we found most prevalent were building sensors, wearable technologies, drones, and then ultimately commercial telematics, which again is a fleet safety mechanism. And those are the four most prevalent that shown up in our survey. So again, we found roughly a third of all small business owners were leveraging and utilizing the connected technologies. But when answered the question by a millennial, it actually jumped up to just over 70%.
Wow. Well, what does it mean in terms of insurance, and does that mean that it will be reflected in better insurance rates because you're with Nationwide? What does it mean for the average small business?
Yeah, as a small business owner, these technologies allow them to really extend their safety practices as well as better understand their businesses. If you think about telematics, the opportunity to better understand the routes, fuel optimization from a cost perspective, but then ultimately demonstrating a safer work environment and ultimately a safer fleet safety program. That's always a good thing from an insurance company perspective. So I think it lends itself to the ultimate safety practices of a small business owner, but also it allows them to be even more efficient and effective.
Well, from the survey, do you see other trends that you think are happening that our audience should know about?
Yeah, I think about a small business owner, and again, they wear multiple different hats. Running and managing, and leading their organization. More often than not, they don't have a formalized safety designated professional. Because they're wearing many hats within the organization. And looking at the survey and looking at the technologies, I think this is yet another opportunity for a small business owner to enact some of those safety and ultimate connected technologies to better improve their business. So from my perspective as a small business owner, this is a great way to extend and operate the business in a more effective and operational fashion. And my guess is this is just going to continue as you see the emerging technologies develop.
Well, let's go away from the survey, and since you're such a veteran, what are some of the trends in commercial insurance in terms of what small businesses should have? For instance, insurance against hackers, et cetera. What are some of the trends in that area that you see and are developing?
Yeah, trends in terms of safety management or trends in terms of coverage or technology, Don, what would you like me to hit on?
Whatever you want, but I'm really talking about going beyond the safety, but to a more generalized question. What are some of the insurance needs that small businesses should have that they're perhaps waking up that they need or are trending upwards? For instance, business interruption insurance. 30 years ago, it was rare that we ran into a small business that had it, but now a lot of companies have it. I'm just talking in general terms. Since you cover a large area, I just wonder if you had any thoughts on that.
Yeah, great call out on business interruption. Often a business, insures their real property, but business interruption's a real exposure in the event you have downtime. So that's a great call out and a reminder for any small business owner. I also think about, cyber insurance. Again, with technology continuing to evolve, making that investment relative to either the front end, safety mechanisms such as buying antivirus software and going through and training your employees, but also buying the breach notification, cover. That's an emerging trend that continues in the industry. So those are a few that I would mention, and maybe circling back to telematics. Telematics, has an opportunity for a business owner to really better understand where their vehicles are, and through that you can better manage your fleet operation relative to fuel costs, route optimization, and not only create that safer environment, but there's real dollars tied to you being able to manage the utilization of the fleet.
Well, let me jump a little further and ask you a question. There's a lot of talk. We had someone on the program last week that talks about ransomware, and that sometimes some criminal can come in and literally freeze your entire system until you pay ransomware. And sometimes companies have been, in effect, brought down by that. Is there ransomware insurance being contemplated or available that you know of? It was interesting. Once we broadcast the program, we got several individuals that emailed and said, is there ransomware insurance?
Yeah, Don, great question. And again, each individual, cyber policy is a little bit unique and different, and that is a coverage that can be purchased if you think about the cyber exposure. And that is very real relative to a small business owner, because many times the small business owner doesn't have all the chief technology officer, maybe all the practices that a larger organization would have enacted. So again, the full suite of cyber, coverages is something that I would strongly encourage that any small business owner go through and evaluate, whether it's the breach notification all the way to the ransomware. But, that is one of the covers that I would say from an insurance perspective often gets overlooked. And, it definitely has the potential in the small business arena to be a loss.
Yeah, it's scary what can happen. Well, let me go further and ask you about insurance where there's a brick and mortar facility. We just ran into a case here in New Jersey of 3 stores burning down, and then it was discovered that one of the stores did not have insurance, and what it was preventing the other 2 stores from rebuilding. It was a strip mall. What do you recommend in terms of brick and mortar insurance for smaller companies?
Yeah, as a small business, owner, I would always, look at, my lease and better understand what I'm responsible for relative to insurance, but going through and better qualifying what is the appropriate risk transfer, if any. And, I think leveraging your local agent as well as the company from a resource perspective to go through and better understand how do I protect my assets. In each situation is a little bit different and unique, but I think those are a couple things I definitely recommend.
Well, you bring up another point, the evolving role of the insurance agent in the world today. Given how so much of it has gone online, what do you think is going to happen to the insurance agent? Is the role going to be expanded, or do you think it's going to contract over the next 5 years?
Yeah, the role of an agent will continue to be prevalent, from my perspective, and tying back to some of the technology observations that we had in the survey. I think it'll be important for both companies and agents to better understand the technologies, what's available, and be able to consult and provide guidance and advice and support to the small business owners. I think about, the wearables or telematics or drones, a few of those that I mentioned earlier. I think the onus is on, agents and companies to be, experts in that particular space to help, a small business owner better understand what sort of technology, tactics are available to them in market. So I would say that, from my perspective, they'll continue to play a large role. One thing that we've, maybe to extend on the answer a little bit is, one thing we've done is invested a tremendous amount of training in our loss control professionals, which interact with customers, so they have that firsthand knowledge of the technologies, so they can actually provide that advice and counsel and be expert status.
Well, I have to say, nationwide, I keep seeing their ubiquitous commercials all over the place, and it's interesting. Do you think insurance companies will also be evolving over the next 5 years away from to more direct contact with consumers, and in particular small businesses?
Yeah, I think that all companies will want to have, online material for their small business owners to access. So, I think about some of the tools that we have on nationwide.com or My Loss Control Services, which speak to, expert articles, resources that a small business owner can tap into. I think, as a leading insurance carrier, it's really important to have that material online and accessible for customers. So I would say that, as any carrier, making a lot of the material and advice and expertise available online, whether it's click to chat with a loss control professional, which Nationwide provides to its small business customers, that sort of technology will be critical for, the future, because individuals will want to consume that material on their own time. So having that available online, as well as experts in the event they want to have a consult, is going to be important.
We're talking with Tony Fenton. He's Vice President of Commercial Lines Product and Underwriting for commercial auto, casualty, and new products at Nationwide. You must have a fascinating job creating new products at Nationwide.
Yeah, like on what I mentioned earlier, it's probably the most exciting time over the last 20 years of my career, just given some of the new technology and new development in the industry, and some of the actual technology that I mentioned earlier related to the survey continues to play even a greater role, I think, in the industry as a whole. So it is very much an exciting time, and I think we'll see this continue to accelerate into the future.
Well, a question has come up in another show we did last week, that the number of female insurance stockbrokers and female insurance agents is really less than 25%. Do you see the industry changing as more and more women become involved in insurance?
Yeah, I can't speak to the stats on the industry, but I would suggest that we continue to see growth in the industry relative to all facets, and from my perspective, it's exciting to see the diversity of thought and the opportunity for professionals to continue to develop.
It's fascinating. In your career, what have you found has been the most fascinating parts of your job that you pass on to others?
Yeah, I'd say one of the aspects is our industry continues to change, and becoming a student of your craft is important. thinking about commercial auto, traditionally rated on the MVR, the rating plans, and that's kind of the traditional proxies for how auto insurance has been rated and ultimately brought forward in the market. But you think about telematics, and what we've seen in personal lines is an opportunity for drivers to get rated based on their own personal driving habits, which is fantastic. And safe drivers earn more discount based on their driving behaviors. So I think technology just continues to play an enhanced role in our industry, and many of the technologies that we've seen in personal lines will also port into commercial, and telematics is just one of those. So from my perspective, the advice I give folks is, just continue learning, because the industry changes, the actual opportunities for advancement are commensurate with someone's ability to adapt and learn.
Well, you've been with Nationwide for 20 years. Obviously, you must like the company. The company likes you. For my last question, what advice would you pass on to anyone? Let's talk about a young person starting out in today's world.
Yeah, I would suggest that insurance is a noble career for any individual, and we have an opportunity to bring a product and solution at a time of need. If someone loses a building, an asset, we protect what business owners regard as their livelihood. So, as an insurance professional, I think it's an awesome industry to help protect individuals and their greatest time of need. So I always, suggest that sometimes the industry doesn't get all of its fair due, especially to college grads. And, it's an exciting time in the industry. It's a noble career, and there's a lot of opportunity in it.
Your website and where people can read more about the survey?
Yeah, Nationwide's website is www.nationwide.com, and you can click into business insurance to learn more about our products and solutions. And then we have another site that I referenced earlier in the conversation, which is www.mylosscontrolservices.com, which again provides articles, expertise and thought leadership and safety management for commercial insureds.
Well, I'm going to just ask one more question because you bring it up. It's so important for, I'll really put this as a question, how important is it for small business owners and others to really look at those things to save money and prevent problems in the future?
Yeah, Don, great question. I'd say it's critically important because it allows the business owner to maximize their investment and efficiencies, but to even more so create that safety culture within their organization. So I would say looking for solutions and leveraging technology is one of the things I would first recommend to a business owner. So I would say it's really important.
Well, it's really been a pleasure. We've been talking with Tony Fenton. He's Vice President of Commercial Lines Product and Underwriting for commercial, auto, casualty, and new products at Nationwide. Boy, how do you get all of that onto a business card? But, Tony, thank you so much for being with us.
Thanks, Don. Appreciate it.
No, but we appreciate it. Remember, this show and every other show and a link to Tony's website will be on recalculating.biz tonight, and where you can hear this and every other program. Thank you so much, Tony, for being with us.
Thank you.
Want to know more about health savings accounts for your company or yourself? Go to 2hsa.com and get a free employer's primer. Health savings accounts are a cost-effective way of offering health care benefits to your employees and yourself. HSAs build retirement funds for your employees, improve morale, and reduce your health care benefit cost. For a free employer guide to HSAs, go to 2hsa.com. That's 2hsa.com.
Dan Perkins here from recalculating.biz with your featured book. I want to tell you about a recent interview I had with Bob Bethel, a turnaround specialist with lots of success in small business. Bob's new book is Strengthen Your Business, Fail-Proof Strategies for Small Business. He tells us of his life successes and failures that have made him and his clients so successful. Over the years, Bob has brought 77 companies back from the brink and changed them into thriving, profitable businesses. His energy is amazing, and at 74, he proves that you can still have a great deal to give others if you just try. His suggestions are easy to understand and very helpful. One insight struck me was that most companies do not have a plan. The old Chinese proverb says, if you don't know where you're going, then any road will take you there, is true today. Bob Bethel's book, Strengthen Your Business, can be found at Amazon.com or can be ordered at your local bookstore. This has been Dan Perkins with your Recalculating.biz featured book.
Tell me, Dan, tell me about your latest book.
My current book that's coming out, I should say, is Why Can't Grammy Remember Me? And it's really the first book written for children between the ages of 9 and 12 and their families dealing with dementia. Dementia is a growing problem with the elderly in the United States and around the world, and we are not very well informed about what's going on, what's happening. So I wrote this book in the form of a mystery. And I have two little girls, 9 and 12, who have a magical power to seem to be able to find things that are lost. And so they go to their dads and moms and they say, you know, we work all over the neighborhood helping people find things, and we seem to find things. And their dad says, yes, you have a magical talent to do that. And they said, we'd like to start a business to see if we can help other people. So they decided to start a business. The two girls' names are Hudson and Charlotte, and they start H&C's Lost and Found. If you've lost it, we find it. And so they build a business, and they convince the dads to build them an office and a treehouse in the backyard. And they get busy making posters and flyers trying to get customers. And their dads take them downtown, and they put them in the windows and on the telephone poles and light poles. And they go home, and first week goes by, and nobody comes. And the second week and third week, and nobody comes. They're really, really dejected. And the fourth week comes, and there's a knock at the door, and they walk over and open the door, and there's a young man standing there with one of their flyers in his hands. And he says to them, my dad says the reason why my Grammy can't remember me is because she's lost her memory. And your flyer says you find things that are lost. Can you find my Grammy's memory? Well, they don't know anything about memory, so they take his name and they go see their dads to see what can happen. And the story evolves into how they learn about what dementia is and what's going on in the body when somebody has dementia. And then they decide, while they can't find their customer's memory, they can help him build the tools to retain her in his memory. And so at the end of the book, there are about 10 to 12, 13 things that families can do together to work on to preserve the memory of Grandma and Grandpa so the generations can know who these people were. And that's the story.
What a great book. When will it be available, and how can people get it?
Well, it'll be available on Amazon.com. A lot of people who have read it, who've had moms and dads that have been stricken with Alzheimer's or dementia, tell me that they really now begin to understand what's happening in Grandma's brain. And we took a different approach. Rather than do the typical brain cross-section, I work with the artists, and we design highways in the brain. And there's a brain of one of the little girls and the brain of Grammy. They both have highways, roads, but the girl's brain, everything is green and go. Grammy's brain is full of no left turns, do not enter, stop, no right turns. So all of the messages that need to come from our brain get screwed up, and we can't function. Great illustrations, though. Wonderful illustrations.
Well, say goodbye, Dan.
All right.
Time for us to go.
Thank you for joining us. And by the way, if you didn't hear all of today's show, you can go to recalculating.biz, and you can pick up this show and past shows to expand your knowledge as becoming more successful entrepreneurs. Thank you for joining us, and we'll talk to you next week.
Thank you for joining us on Recalculating. We hope the information you received on today's episode was helpful to you in starting and growing your business. Please go to our website, recalculating.biz, to contact us, to listen to past shows, and see special offers. Until next time, remember, if you grow, we grow. Join us next week for more helpful ideas to make your business a great success. Recalculating, a program designed to help you be successful.